Detective Lauren Hayes had spent 23 years earning her badge, and the last 5 commanding respect as the chief of police in Riverside, a mid-sized city where everyone thought they knew everyone. But Lauren preferred it that way, anonymous when off-duty, powerful when it mattered. Tonight, she wore jeans, a plain jacket and sneakers, her badge locked safely in her car's glove compartment. She just finished a late community meeting at the recreation center on the east side, the kind of neighborhood work that never made the news but kept cities safe. The streetlights flickered as she walked toward her unmarked sedan parked 2 blocks away. The autumn air bit at her cheeks and the streets were quieter than usual. Lauren checked her phone, 10:30. Her husband, Marcus, had texted asking when she'd be home. She smiled and typed back a quick reply. That's when she heard the footsteps. 3 figures emerged from the alley between the old pawn shop and a boarded-up diner. They moved with the lazy confidence of men who believed the night belonged to them. The one in front wore a red hoodie, his face partially hidden. The other 2 flanked him, one tall and lanky, the other stocky with a baseball cap pulled low. "Hey, lady," Red Hoodie called out, his voice dripping with false friendliness. "You look lost." Lauren stopped walking. Her training kicked in immediately. Assess the threat, scan for exits, stay calm. She kept her expression neutral, her hands visible but ready. "I'm fine, thanks," she said evenly, her voice firm but not aggressive. Red Hoodie smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "See, I don't think you are. Nice phone you got there. Nice jacket, too." The tall one circled to her left. The stocky one moved right. They were boxing her in, a practiced formation. Lauren's pulse quickened, but her face remained stone cold. She'd been in worse situations, much worse. "You boys should walk away," Lauren said quietly, her tone carrying a warning most people would recognize. Red Hoodie laughed. "Or what?" Red Hoodie stepped closer, and Lauren could smell the stale cigarette smoke clinging to his clothes. His eyes were glassy, his movements jittery, probably high on something. That made him unpredictable, dangerous. "Just give us the phone and the wallet and nobody gets hurt," he said, pulling a small blade from his pocket. The streetlight caught the metal, making it gleam. Lauren's mind raced through her options. She could identify herself right now, flash her authority, and likely end this immediately. But something stopped her. These 3 had done this before. Their movements were too coordinated, too confident. They were predators who'd found their hunting ground, and they weren't going to stop with her. "All right," Lauren said, slowly reaching for her purse. "Take it easy." The tall one snickered. "Smart lady, see, this is how it should go." Lauren handed over her phone and her wallet, watching their faces carefully, memorizing every detail. The scar above Red Hoodie's left eyebrow, the tattoo on the tall one's neck, a snake coiled around a dagger, the stocky one's nervous twitch, his eyes darting to the empty street every few seconds. Red Hoodie flipped open her wallet, pulling out the cash, $83. "This all you got?" "It's all I carry," Lauren replied calmly. He pocketed the money and tossed her wallet on the ground. "What about jewelry? That watch looks expensive." It was expensive. Marcus had given it to her on their 20th anniversary. Lauren's jaw tightened, but she unclasped it and handed it over. The watch disappeared into Red Hoodie's pocket. "Please," Lauren said, adding just enough tremor to her voice to sell the act. "That's everything. Just let me go." Red Hoodie studied her for a long moment, then nodded. "Get out of here. And lady, don't even think about calling the cops. We know this neighborhood. We'll find you." Lauren backed away slowly, then turned and walked toward her car, her heart pounding with controlled fury. Behind her, she heard them laughing, celebrating their easy score. They had no idea who they'd just robbed. Lauren sat in her car for a full minute, hands gripping the steering wheel, forcing herself to breathe slowly. The professional in her knew she'd made the right call. No one was hurt, and she'd gathered valuable intelligence. But the woman in her wanted to turn around and show them exactly what happened when you threatened a cop. Instead, she started the engine and drove directly to the precinct. The night shift sergeant, Danny Rodriguez, looked up in surprise when she walked through the door. "Chief, thought you were at the community meeting." "I was," Lauren said, her voice clipped and businesslike. "I need you to pull up everything we have on armed robberies in the east side, specifically between Fletcher Street and Morrison Avenue. Last 6 months. Danny's eyebrows rose, but he knew better than to ask questions when the chief used that tone. "Right away." While he worked, Lauren called Marcus and kept her voice steady. "Hey, honey, going to be later than I thought. Some work stuff came up." "Everything okay?" Marcus knew her too well. "Everything's fine. I'll tell you about it when I get home." She hung up and turned to find Danny spreading files across her desk. "We've got 17 reported robberies in that area since April. Same MO, 3 suspects, late evening, targeting women walking alone. Victims described similar clothing and tactics." Lauren leaned over the reports, her eyes scanning every detail. "Any witnesses get a good look?" 2 gave partial descriptions. One mentioned a red hoodie, another spotted a snake tattoo. Danny paused. "Chief, did something happen tonight?" Lauren met his eyes. "I just became victim number 18. Danny's face went pale. "Are you hurt, did they?" "I'm fine, but those 3 just made the biggest mistake of their lives." Lauren pulled out a notepad and began sketching from memory. "Here's what they look like." By midnight, Lauren had assembled a small team in the conference room. Detective Brian Walker, Officer Jennifer Price, and Danny Rodriguez. She'd briefed them on the robbery, keeping her emotions locked down tight. "They're organized," Lauren explained, pointing to a map on the wall where she'd marked all the robbery locations with red pins. "They work the same 6-block radius, always after dark, always targeting women alone. They've stolen approximately $4,000 in cash, plus phones, jewelry, and credit cards over 5 months. Brian studied the map. "Why hasn't anyone stopped them yet?" "Because only 4 victims reported it," Danny said grimly. "The others were too scared. These guys threaten retaliation if anyone calls the police." Lauren circled an area on the map. "They told me they know the neighborhood. That means they live nearby or have a regular spot. Jennifer, I want you to pull surveillance footage from every business in this area. Check cameras from the past week." "On it, Chief." Brian talked to the victims who reported. "Show them my sketches. See if they can add any details." "What about you?" Brian asked. Lauren's smile was cold. "I'm going to pay a visit to our street contacts. Someone's seen these 3. Someone knows who they are." She spent the next 2 days working the case like she was still a detective on the street. She talked to shop owners, homeless veterans who watched the corners, teenagers who hung out at the basketball courts. She showed her sketches. She asked gentle questions. She listened. And slowly, the picture came together. A pawn shop owner recognized the watch description. Someone had tried to sell it yesterday, but he'd turned them away because it looked too expensive, too suspicious. A street vendor remembered 3 guys matching the description hanging around the convenience store on Fletcher. A former gang member turned informant gave her a name. Tyler Bennett, known associate, Derek Coleman and Marcus Wright, no relation to her husband, thankfully. Tyler Bennett had a record: petty theft, assault, drug possession. He lived in a rundown apartment building 4 blocks from where they'd robbed her. Lauren stood outside that building as the sun set on the 3rd day, watching, waiting. Lauren knew she couldn't just kick down Tyler Bennett's door. She needed evidence that would hold up in court, a case so airtight that no lawyer could wiggle them free. She also needed to catch them in the act. "You want to use yourself as bait again," Brian said incredulously when she outlined her plan. "Chief, with all due respect, that's insane." "It's strategic," Lauren corrected. "They're comfortable in their pattern. They'll do it again. We just need to be ready when they do." Jennifer shifted uncomfortably. "What if they recognize you?" They won't. It was dark, I was wearing different clothes, and they were high on adrenaline. They saw a victim, not a face. Lauren spread out surveillance photos on the table. But this time you'll all be watching. Plain clothes, concealed positions. The moment they make their move, we take them down. Danny nodded slowly. We'll need at least 6 officers for proper coverage. 8, Lauren said. And I want body cameras on everyone. This needs to be documented perfectly. They spent the next day coordinating. Lauren walked the route again, this time with her team, identifying the best positions for surveillance. They tested communication equipment. They rehearsed the takedown procedure a dozen times. On the 4th night after the robbery, Lauren walked the same route, wearing similar clothes, carrying a similar purse. She felt the weight of 8 pairs of eyes watching her from the shadows, her team positioned and ready. The street was quiet, too quiet. She made it to her car without incident. Maybe they're taking a break. Jennifer's voice crackled through the concealed earpiece. Or maybe they spotted the setup, Brian added. Lauren sat in her car, frustration building. Then her phone rang, her personal phone, the one Tyler Bennett still had. She'd reported it stolen but hadn't deactivated it yet. She'd been hopping for exactly this. Danny, they just turned on my phone. Can you track it? Already on it, signals coming from Fletcher and Morrison, the convenience store. Lauren's eyes narrowed. They're there right now. Everyone move in but stay concealed. Let's see what they're up to. Lauren and her team converged on the convenience store from different directions, staying in the shadows. Through the window, she could see Tyler Bennett inside, using her phone. Derek and Marcus stood nearby, laughing about something. They're using the stolen phone to coordinate something, Brian whispered through the comm. Wait, there's someone else. Woman, early 20s, brown jacket. She's walking past the store alone. Lauren's blood ran cold as she watched Tyler glance outside, then nudge his friends. They were selecting their next victim. Nobody moves until they make a clear threat, Lauren commanded. We need this clean. The 3 men left the store and began following the woman. She was oblivious, earbuds in, scrolling through her own phone. Lauren recognized the setup. They'd box her in at the next dark stretch of sidewalk. Lauren emerged from her position and began walking parallel to them on the opposite side of the street, matching their pace. Her team shadowed her movements, invisible but ready. The woman turned down a side street. Tyler and his crew accelerated. Now, Lauren said calmly. Everything happened in seconds. The 3 men closed in on their victim. Derek reached for her purse. Tyler pulled out his knife. And suddenly, they were surrounded. Police, hands where I can see them. Officers emerged from doorways, from behind cars, from the darkness itself. Tyler spun around, knife still in hand, his face a mask of confusion and panic. He looked ready to run or fight. Then Lauren stepped into the streetlight directly in front of him. Recognition dawned slowly on his face. The woman from the other night. The easy target. But now she stood differently, shoulders back, chin up, authority radiating from every inch of her frame. Remember me, Lauren said quietly, pulling out her badge. Lauren Hayes, Chief of Police, and you 3 are under arrest. Tyler's knife clattered to the pavement. The color drained from his face. Derek tried to bolt but ran straight into Brian's arms. Marcus dropped to his knees, hands raised, already crying. The woman they'd been about to rob stood frozen, watching in shock as her attackers were forced to the ground and handcuffed. You're safe now, Jennifer told her gently, guiding her away from the scene. Lauren stood over Tyler Bennett as Brian read him his rights. You told me you'd find me if I called the cops, she said. Guess what? I didn't need to call them. I am them. The interrogation room was deliberately cold. Tyler Bennett sat across from Lauren, his lawyer, a tired-looking public defender named Robert Chen beside him. The red hoodie was gone, replaced by an orange jumpsuit. His earlier swagger had evaporated completely. "My client has nothing to say," the lawyer began. Lauren slid a folder across the table. "Then maybe he'll want to listen. We recovered Lauren's watch from the pawn shop. Your client's fingerprints are all over the transaction receipt. We found 17 stolen phones in your apartment, Tyler. 17. We've matched them to victims across 5 months. We have surveillance footage of you and your friends stalking women. And we have last night on video attempted armed robbery." She leaned forward. "But here's the interesting part. One of the phones you stole had banking apps still logged in. The victim lost $2,000 before she could freeze her accounts. That bumps this from robbery to identity theft and fraud. Federal charges." Tyler's face went gray. His lawyer whispered urgently in his ear. "The district attorney is very interested in this case," Lauren continued. "Armed robbery of a police officer tends to get their attention, but I spoke with her this morning. If you cooperate fully, testify against Derek and Marcus, help us identify any other victims, return what you can, she might be willing to negotiate." "How long?" Tyler asked, his voice cracking. 7 to 10 years, probably, without cooperation. You're looking at 15 to 20. Your friends are already talking, by the way. Derek gave you up in the first hour." Tyler put his head in his hands. His lawyer sighed. "We'll need that in writing." "Already done." Lauren stood. "You had a choice that night, Tyler. You could have walked past me. You could have gotten a job, turned your life around. Instead, you chose to terrorize innocent people. Now you get to live with that choice." She walked out, leaving him to contemplate his future. In the hallway, Brian was waiting with a smile. Derek and Marcus both flipped, full confessions. They're terrified of federal charges. "Good, what about the victims?" "Jennifer's been calling them all day. Most are willing to testify now that we have suspects in custody." 3 weeks later, Lauren sat in her office reviewing the final case reports. All 3 suspects had accepted plea deals. Tyler Bennett got 12 years. Derek Coleman got 10. Marcus Wright got 8 for cooperating first. They'd recovered most of the stolen property and returned it to victims. The district attorney had called it one of the cleanest cases she'd ever prosecuted. But Lauren wasn't thinking about the victory. She was thinking about the 17 other women who'd been robbed, who'd felt that same helplessness she'd felt for those few minutes. She was thinking about how many other Tylers were out there, hunting in the dark. A knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. Jennifer stuck her head in. "Chief, there's someone here to see you." The young woman from that night, the one they'd saved from becoming victim number 19, entered nervously. Her name was Rachel Morrison. "I wanted to thank you," Rachel said. "The officer told me what happened to you first, how you used it to catch them. You saved me. Maybe saved a lot of other people too." Lauren stood and shook her hand. "You doing okay?" "Yeah, still jumpy at night, but I'm taking self-defense classes now, and I'm thinking about studying criminal justice, maybe becoming a cop." Rachel smiled shyly. "If you can do it, maybe I can too." After Rachel left, Lauren finally drove home. Marcus was in the kitchen making dinner, and the smell of his famous spaghetti filled the house. "Long day?" he asked, kissing her cheek. "Long month," Lauren admitted. She pulled her anniversary watch from her pocket, recovered from evidence, finally returned to her. "But I got this back." Marcus examined it, running his thumb over the inscription on the back. "To my strength and my heart. The guys who took it. Going away for a long time." "Good," he wrapped his arms around her. "You scared me, you know, when you finally told me what happened." "I know, I'm sorry." "Don't be sorry. Just promise me you'll keep being exactly who you are, the woman who turns getting robbed into a mission to protect everyone else." Lauren laughed, feeling the weight of the past weeks finally lifting. She'd been a victim for 5 minutes, but she'd been chief of police for 5 years, a detective for 18 years before that, and a fighter her entire life. Tyler Bennett and his friends had robbed the wrong woman. They'd learned that lesson the hard way. And somewhere out there, 17 other women could finally sleep peacefully, knowing their attackers were behind bars. That was justice. That was why Lauren had spent 23 years earning her badge. That was enough.